So right now, Kaizen has just been put down to sleep. Daxon is already at school. An important thing to keep in mind when it comes to your kids going to bed or your kids taking a nap, dads, that is a moment when we could kind of get things done. Taking advantage of your time, because your time is actually going to be broken down. And I'll go a little bit more into details to what I mean by that later. But for right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to read a script that one of my really good friends sent over to me that they've written, and want to kind of get my thoughts, observations on that. What do I feel about it? And then also, I'm going to eat. My wife made some really, really, really good food. So I'm going to grub on this. I'm going to start reading on the script, and then we'll talk a little bit later when we have our conversation. All right. So far, so good. The script is actually really good. Very unique perspective and extremely poetic. I'm excited to read the rest of it. But like I was saying, when you have a kid, your definition of time and your concept of time alters. And what I mean by that is you have an understanding of time from when you were told and made aware that you were pregnant, and the timeline of when you were actually going to have this baby come out and it has to be delivered. In between that, you know what time is, because you know you got a certain amount of months, you got a certain amount of weeks, you got a certain amount of days, you got a certain amount of hours, and then all of a sudden baby is here. But once baby is here, now, dad, parent, what you have to realize now is that your concept of time is going to be altered, because it gets to a point where now you have to dictate the time of taking care of the actual kid, as well as the time you have to take care of everything else. And that includes yourself. So what does that look like for a dad, or what that looked like for me was coming to the understanding that, okay, if I'm going to be missing a lot of this time all throughout the night, if I'm having to do feedings, or if I'm having to tend to my partner, or if I'm having to just deal with a multitude of different things related to this baby, and it's solely on dad and mom, there's a bit of grace that has to take place there, because there's a major disruption of something that you haven't experienced before now being ripped away from you, and that is parenting. And now you're entering a phase of when you have to now tend to something a lot more than you either tend to yourself or your day-to-day. So your idea of time is going to be ripped. You're going to miss timelines. You're going to miss certain things that you want to plan for yourself. You're going to disappear because you're going to be engulfed into taking care of a kid. And for that, for you, dad, you need to realize that you need to have some grace within yourself. You got to have some grace, because you haven't experienced this before. Or maybe you have, and now you're going through it again. There's a period of when time is altered, so the things that you were doing you can't necessarily do right now, and now you're going to have to kind of adjust to what that even looks like for the new world, the new reality that you have to deal with. And so for me, during that time, I wasn't as sharp as I needed to be in terms of when I had to do auditions, when I was working in corporate on my day-to-day, also trying my best to be a decent husband and a decent dad, not knowing how to hold the baby correctly or feed it the right way. And there's a lot of things going through your mind. And because of this investment, your time is all over the place. And so having to adjust your definition of time is going to be important. Once things get like on a schedule or something like that, then you could kind of reel back and be like, okay, for myself, if I have to get things done for myself or for other things, I'm probably going to have to wake up earlier. And now this is assuming that now you're on some sort of sleep schedule and what that even looks like. And there's a ton of resources on what that looks like to get done. But once you're kind of there, and even then when you realize you're going to be waking up earlier in general, comes to having this kid, you yourself, dad, are probably going to have to wake up earlier than that if you want to get some of the things that you want to do done. Because we're not even talking about your day-to-day. We're not talking about what you do for the kid, what you got to do for the wife or the partner. And we're just talking about the fact that this is something that you need to get done for you, your personal endeavors. You may have to wake up earlier. Or when things are settled and the baby is asleep and everything, you may have to work a little bit later. But then that may take time away from the partner that you have. So you got to think about that. There's a multitude of different things when it comes to time. Once this baby is here, this kid is here, and you have to be dad, you know? And it's not easy. And there are going to be days that are harder than others. There's going to be a lot of moments when you're kind of questioning in general, like, yo, when am I going to be able to get a full night's rest? And I can tell you right now, after like 3.5, 4 years, it ebbs and flows. Don't let them get sick, because once they get sick, then you got to deal with that. But I'm not gonna overwhelm you. Let's focus on the time. As I said earlier today, when it comes to my son being asleep and the other one not necessarily being here, being at school, this gives me the opportunity to take advantage of the things I want to take care of. I could be spending time scrolling, I could be spending time doing all these other things, which I do. But for the most part, the major things that I really, really, really need to get done, I gotta get it done when they sleep. Or at least I gotta be flexible on when I get things done. If you're someone that loves to go to the gym, your gym schedule may fluctuate depending on what's going on with the kid. So you may even want to switch your workout regimen to full body workouts, only because you don't know when's the next time you'll be able to get in there. Or you switch it from doing weights to now just doing a cardio. Maybe you're just going to be doing cardio now because it fits within the time that you have in between kids. So I know I gave you a lot, and I just wanted to share that with you in terms of just like time and what that looks like for dads and dadding in general. It's going to be something that's constantly going to be altered. So thank you for listening. Thank you for being here, and I will see you in the next video.